Okay, welcome to my homemade pickle making video. I'm just going to show you briefly how I make my homemade pickles. I'm just going to do the one jar. I've got most of it set up because, like I said, I don't like sitting through watching people do boring stuff like mixing things, and even right now you're having to listen to me talk. So before we get started, I will let you know I'm going to have the recipe in the description and how to do it, so that way if you miss anything or if I miss saying something, it'll be all there for you. And let me get started first by saying step one is going to be make sure you sterilize your jars and your lids and rings. If I do a big batch, if I'm going to be doing maybe 8 quarts, between 6 to 8 quarts, then I'm going to water bath them. So, and these are going to be just quick refrigerator pickles. It's not going to need any water bathing or actual canning. So if I'm actually canning, I will generally put these in the water bath and let them boil in there. These will go into a smaller pan, which I just made my brine in today, but just for a couple. Then what I'll do is I'll boil water in the pan, dump the boiling water over this, and then let it all dry out. These will just get boiled in the pot. So that's, with that out of the way, that's going to be a safety issue. So just make sure you sterilize everything before you use it. And also for me, I only use bottled water. My water in this city is, or from this town or whatever, it's like liquid limestone. You can't get anything clean. You gotta really just use the bottled water is your best bet. I make my coffee with the bottled water most of the time. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So what you're going to need, of course, are some cucumbers. I cut these up in a mandolin slicer, and let me tell you, compared to the last year and the year before when I would cut them by hand, oh, that baby is a lifesaver. So if you really want to save yourself some time and get pretty consistent chips, the mandolin slicer is the way to go. And I always say this because this is where I get most of my stuff on Amazon. Fairly cheap, very well worth the investment, especially if you're going to be doing this a lot. And if you've seen any of my other videos, this probably looks familiar. This is my homemade wine that I showed how to make. So nothing beats just self-sufficiency at some levels. So anyway, let's just get on with it. The first thing, the brine, all this is white vinegar and water and sea salt. What you're going to want to do is 1 cup of water, 1 cup of vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of sea salt per quart. So this, if I was going to do, when I'm making it, there's 2 cups of water, boom, then I know I've got enough water for two quarts. So 1 cup of water, one cup of white vinegar. I warm it up on the stove. I dump the salt in and then just mix it. Once the salt is dissolved in, then I know it's ready. I start it on low and then just cut it off once everything is nice and dissolved. And now it's just a time to add the ingredients. You're going to need a tablespoon of whole mustard seed, a half a tablespoon of black peppercorns, say that 5 times fast, and some dill seeds, a whole tablespoon. Now here's where things get a little tricky. with the garlic. You can use between 4 to 6 whole cloves of garlic, or 2 to 4 cloves of whole garlic. What I had found, completely by accident, I ran out of garlic cloves. I thought I'd had more, but I didn't. So I had some of this Jarlic and I finished it out. And it'll tell you the ratio on this jar somewhere. But I think it's the ratio is a half a tablespoonful equals 1 clove. So I use 4 tablespoons of this. And let me tell you, I gave away all the ones that I made with regular garlic because I thought those were going to be the better quality. When I ate the ones that I kept with the Jarlic, oh, I found out I was wrong. Boy, this stuff packs a punch. And if you really like garlic, this is the way to go. Even though it just seems like cheating and it doesn't seem as good, but boy, when it comes to flavor, you're going to get it. So let's just kind of go through this. And I also have the Pickle Fresh. So Pickle Fresh is literally 1/4 teaspoon of Pickle Fresh per quart. So I'll show you when I put that in. And if you want to spice it up, I add a tablespoon of ground cayenne. Now I won't do it on this one, but I will do it on the next one. But this is all we're going to be doing today. So first things first. Now, a lot of times it's just easier to take these off. On the bottom, now I said I'm going to put a full tablespoon of this. So I'll throw a half in the bottom of everything I got. I know I told you that I didn't want to bore you with all the pouring and adding, but this is just kind of part of how I like to do it. I like to get some of the seasoning on the bottom, and then I add some in the middle. Now I won't put the Pickle Fresh in until I get to the middle here. So now it says 1/2 tablespoon equals 1 clove of garlic. So I'm going to do 4 tablespoons. So I'm going to put 2 of these in the bottom. 2 1/2 tablespoons, or basically 1 tablespoon in the bottom. And I will dry this back off. And I also forgot to mention the bay leaves. 1 bay leaf per quart. So I'll put that in the middle. Now it's just a matter of dropping in the cucumbers. And this can be almost like loading a truck. And if you ever loaded a truck, you'll know what I mean, especially if you've ever been a mover. You're just looking for spaces and the right thing to go to the right place so you can pack it in nice and tight. So that way when you get the top on, you say, that ain't going nowhere. So I want to make sure these will ride. So if you find a small one, find a good place to throw the small one. Like I said, I apologize for the boredom at this point, because you're probably thinking you could have already just gotten us to this and cut this video way deep in half. But trust me, this is how I've learned how to do it. So I think sometimes it's just easier to watch, and you can always kind of scroll up till you see something a little bit better. That's about good enough. So now it's time for round 2. Start putting in. I will go ahead and start, since I mentioned it, on my bay leaf in. Doesn't matter what order of your seasonings you put in, just as long as you get them in there. And here's the dill seeds. These were really hard to find last year. That's why I bought a lot of them for this year. And now 2 of these. Oops. And you can see I kind of let them go a little heaping there. And then, now the other part is you can kind of start adding your brine, because you want to make sure you squish as much of the air out as you can. Now I'll put my Pickle Fresh in here. 1/4 teaspoon is all it needs. Come on. Just kind of sprinkle it in, and we're good. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get that in there, and I will also press it down and try to get as much air out of there as I can. Now I'm also gonna, again, if you'd seen my winemaking video, I used a vacuum sealer on the wine, and I also will use the vacuum sealer on these pickles. Push these down and get these best I can packed in there. Okay, and remember to leave some head space, and that's usually about right to the rim there. You don't want to fill them all the way completely to the top. So you can see I pretty much filled that up. As you can see, I had 2 cups in here, and we just about are going to get it in this 1 quart, and that's right as far as I need to get it. Now, before I put the lid on, just want to make sure I dry it off, wipe it down, make sure it's clean. Okay. Now I'll put my lid on it. Now while I got the lid on, now I put this vacuum sealer on. I've already got the bottom off. This is for the wide mouths, so this will also work on the narrow, and this is why you want the head space too, with the liquid in there. So now you can see it starting to draw things up. It's working. Now I'll let that run for about maybe 50 seconds. And while we're waiting on that, I can pretty much tell you this is just about it. Now once you get it done, just stick it in the refrigerator and leave it in the refrigerator for 48 hours, and that'll give it time to really for the pickles to really absorb all of the brine and the seasoning that you have in there. And before you put it in, give it a good shake it, that way you get everything good and mixed up in there. Okay, what is that? This just pops right off. Again, you can find these on Amazon. Just look for mason jar vacuum sealers. This is the bottom half of it. It'll line up. It'll show you how to line it up. There it is. And this is all there is to it. Now I can do the narrow mouth jars if I needed, but that's not what I'm doing right now. So we'll set that off to the side. Put my ring on it. Now I didn't have anything I don't have my marker near me, but I will put the date, today's date, right on the top. And now it's just a matter of put it in the refrigerator for the next 2 days, and we're good to go. And that's really all there is to it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comments section. And as I said, the full recipe will be in the description. All right then. Thank you. Bye bye.